We are back live with 100 seasons of BYU football from the beautiful Nu Skin building in Provo, Utah. And as we wrap up this show, we bring back up BYU Athletic Director Tom Holmoe and the current head football coach of BYU, Kalani Sitake. Gentlemen, welcome to the stage. And Kalani, let me just tee you up right here. You've been watching all of this unfold. How has tonight's, interviews and the spectacle of meeting with all of your former teammates and friends, how has that been for you?
It's been amazing, and it's an honor for me to be here and to have Patty and to have Jim here. I mean, to talk about Lavelle, to talk about BYU football, to have the brotherhood, the fraternity. It's an amazing fraternity of BYU football players that are here. Whether you played for Lavelle or Bronco or Croton, I think it's super special. Got to see it last night when we had the alumni all over in the stadium, and I was able to sit back and watch all the players, and I'm just a role player. I mean, I scored one touchdown in all the games that I played, and so, you know, as a fullback, that's what you're asked to do. So when Brandon said the prophet was looking at me, I'm like, don't throw me the ball then, you know, just let me block. That's what I'm good at. But I've had the honor of being with great people. I see all the presidents here and ADs and wonderful people that were there when I was a fan and a player, and now as the head coach. I see all the wonderful men and their families that I got to play with, that I watched, I idolized, and so it's great to be part of the family, to be part of the brotherhood, and as a role player, just to have the opportunity to be the head coach, it's something I don't take for granted, and I get to talk about Lavelle, you know, and talk about the wonderful experiences that we had. But there's something that's unique about BYU football, and it's the gospel. And no matter who the head coach is, so I feel uncomfortable when you say Kalani Sitake, Eric, because we're all part of the group. We're all part of the mission of the school, which is that we're trying to do what's best, trying to bring more people to the light of Christ, and trying to make the world better. And I had an honor to see wonderful people like Lavelle Edwards and his family. And I was telling Jim to tell Ann and John and the kids that I appreciate them sharing their father with me. I wanted to be a coach because Lavelle, and I wanted to be here. And the culture that a lot of the guys will start to see that we're trying to run is very similar to what we got to enjoy when we were players. And so there's nothing really unique or different about me. I'm just trying to do what Lavelle did for me in a different version, but it works, and it works with the Kansas City Chiefs. It works with a lot of different programs that are out there running right now, and we're going to keep doing it. But it helps to have wonderful people and amazing players that have put so much energy and so much investment into the program, supported by amazing people within the university. And I'm just like, I could do this for, you know, a few more hours. I mean, I can't believe that it's coming to an end, but this has been an amazing honor. I'm just happy to be part of it.
Tom, at this juncture, as BYU approaches season number 100, and we've talked a lot about that Lavelle magic and the spirit of Lavelle that we see still prominently in the BYU program, where do you see that spirit of Lavelle most prominently right now as BYU gets ready for the 2024 season?
I see it in the connections. We were there last night with 450 of the players from past. And then you see tonight some of the great players that are up here talking about it. And I think in business and families and in football, people talk about connections, and it's a buzzword. It doesn't work. To make connections work, you have to pay the price. You have to sacrifice. And so at BYU, I came to BYU because I got hurt when I was a senior in high school, and a lot of teams that were recruiting me dropped me. And I wasn't a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. When I stepped onto this campus, people started to connect with me. My teammates, many of them who are here tonight, my coaches, including Lavelle and Dick Felt, Coach Fred Whittingham. And then it went deeper. It connected with the faculty members. I had faculty members that just looked out for me. I really was like a fish out of water when I got up there. And within a year, people had connected with me. I knew the presidents of the university. And to this day, the presidents of our university know who our players are. Those connections, they just don't end with the football team. It goes on to the campus. And because we're in football, connected to the school, and aligned. We put a lot of effort into that, and we're aligned with the church. And that's a connection that I think a lot of people don't see. But that connection is what makes this so sweet. And there's another part of the connection I think that's really important, and that is the fans. The fans at BYU are connected to this team for a number of reasons. They love the players and the plays. They love the coaches and their personalities. And they love the wins, the championships, and the way BYU football plays. But one of the things that I've loved the most in my time at BYU is that many of the families and fans that come to BYU, that's a connection with their family. Their family is connected to this football team. So when you ask me that question, I'd say that BYU football in the Kalani Sitake era is still connected, if not more so than ever. That these players are connecting with the coaches, are connecting with our administration, are connecting with the fans. And you can see the love, and that love's been in BYU football for 100 years. You can see it from 100 years ago, and it's still strong today.
Well said.